In the early 1960s, American automakers were locked in a fierce battle for drag strip supremacy. Ford, Chrysler, and General Motors were pulling out all the stops to build the ultimate superstock drag cars, but it was Ford who would get the last laugh in this high-octane showdown. Their secret weapon? The 1964 Ford Fairlane Thunderbolt, a 550-horsepower, 11-second quarter-mile monster that would turn the NHRA upside down and secure Ford the 1964 NHRA Manufacturers' Cup. This is the story of how a mild-mannered mid-size car became a drag racing legend. In the early 1960s, the pony car revolution hadn't yet begun. The Mustang, Camaro, and Challenger were still on the drawing boards. This meant that the big three automakers were duking it out with full-size cars on the drag strip. Ford was primarily running their full-sized Ford Galaxies in the NHRA Superstock series. Initially, in 1961, the Galaxy was powered by a hopped-up 390 cubic inch V8, but as the decade progressed, this engine was starting to get routinely outgunned by the bigger 400-plus cubic inch power plants from General Motors and Chrysler. Ford's response was swift. In 1962, they released a 406 cubic inch version of the 390, pushing over 400 horsepower. The following year, they unveiled their legendary 427 cubic inch engine. These engine upgrades helped Ford's superstock cars start winning consistently, but there was still a problem: the weight. The 1963 Galaxy lightweight, even with its 427 under the hood, was fast, but it was fighting an uphill battle. The Galaxies, at their lightest, tipped the scales at just over 3,400 pounds. For 1964, the NHRA set the minimum allowed weight for the class at 3,200 pounds. With all manufacturers having engines that made similar power, that extra 200 pounds could make or break a car's success. Ford needed a solution, and they found it in an unlikely place: their mid-size offering, the Fairlane. The Fairlane was Ford's answer to their weight problem. Fully unloaded and dry, these cars weighed about 3,000 pounds. This meant that even with fuel, a driver, and a bigger engine, they'd be much closer to that crucial 3,200-pound weight limit. The Fairlane was Ford's answer to their weight problem. Fully unloaded and dry, these cars weighed about 3,000 pounds. This meant that even with fuel, a driver, and a bigger engine, they'd be much closer to that crucial 3,200-pound weight limit. But there was a catch. To race this Fairlane in NHRA competition, Ford would have to build 100 road-going cars of the same specification, and there was one big elephant in the room, or more accurately, under the hood. The Fairlane's largest available engine at the time was a 289 cubic inch small block. Ford's plan was to shoehorn their massive 427 cubic inch big block into this mid-size chassis. This was no small feat. To make it work, Ford had to relocate the battery to the trunk, notch the shock towers, and create a custom set of tubular headers with some creative routing. The result was an engine bay so tightly packed you'd be hard-pressed to drop a wrench between the components. The 427 that found its way into the Thunderbolt was an absolute monster. On paper, it was rated at 425 horsepower, but actual estimates put these cars well over 500 horsepower, with some claiming they were closer to 600. Let's break down the specs of this beastly power plant. It had a 12.7, 1 compression ratio with high-flowing heads, an aggressive camshaft, 2 large 4-barrel carburetors, and functional ram air intake system. This 427 meant business, especially when paired with a 4-speed manual transmission and a set of 4.57, 1 rear gears. While the drivetrain in the Thunderbolts was impressive, Ford didn't stop there. They put Fairlane on an extreme weight loss program. The stock seats were replaced with basic flat seats from a Ford Econoline van. The radio, sound deadening, sun visors, and armrests were removed. Even the passenger side windshield wiper was deleted. The exterior got the same treatment: a change in the fiberglass fenders, fiberglass doors, iconic fiberglass teardrop hood. The fiberglass bumpers were later replaced with aluminum versions to comply with NHRA rules. Ford managed to hastily build all 100 units required by NHRA rules, 50 with 4-speed manuals, and 50 with automatic transmission. The first 11 cars were painted burgundy, with the remaining 89 finished in Wimbledon white, the same white used on the Shelby GT 350. So, did Ford's gamble pay off? Absolutely. The Thunderbolts were about as close to a purpose-built drag racer as you could buy from a dealership. It had 11-second quarter-mile times were common, and by far the best recorded time in period, 11.08 seconds at 128 miles per hour. In 1964, driver Gas Ron drove a Thunderbolt to secure the NHRA Top Stock crown, cementing the car's place in drag racing history. Despite its incredible performance and early success, the Thunderbolt's reign was short-lived. By 1965, the racing landscape had changed. Smaller, more compact cars were becoming the norm, eventually leading to the pony car era. This shift rendered full-size drag cars like the Thunderbolt unnecessary, limiting its production to just that single glorious year of 1964. Today, factory numbers matching Thunderbolts are some of the most sought-after collector cars for Ford enthusiasts. Prices for these rare beasts routinely fetch into the multi-six-figure range. While that's a lot of money, you'd be getting a piece of rare motorsport history, and for the right collector, it's a small price to pay for a true legend of the quarter mile. The 1964 Ford Fairlane Thunderbolt was a perfect storm in automotive history. It was the right car with the right engine at the right time, born out of Ford's determination to dominate drag racing. It showcased what was possible when engineers were given free rein to create the ultimate performance machine. While its time in the spotlight was brief, the Thunderbolt's impact on drag racing and Ford's performance legacy is immeasurable. It proved that with enough ingenuity and determination, even a humble midsize car could be transformed into a fire-breathing, quarter-mile conquering monster. The Thunderbolt may have only roared for one glorious year, but its echo still reverberates through the annals of automotive history, reminding us of a time when the quest for speed knew no bounds. This is where we draw the curtains on today's video. Thank you for staying with us, and don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell to stay updated with us. Thanks again for watching. See you in the next video.